All right, everyone, let's go ahead and kick off this meeting. Well, welcome. My name is Aubrey. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting just yet, and this is our DocStation Pharmacy Innovators monthly call. So welcome to the very end of July already, if you can even imagine that. So for those of you who are new, this is our monthly call where we get an opportunity to showcase some of the cool new things we're doing here at DocStation and open up the floor for an opportunity for you guys as a community to share tips and tricks and feedback, ask questions, get to be face-to-face with the folks here at DocStation. So thank you for joining. Really appreciate your participation. A couple of things just for those of you who are just getting logged in, or if this is your first Pharmacy Innovators meeting, just be sure to mute yourself here while we get started. So this is our standing agenda here. We'll talk about some housekeeping things first, our program statistics, updates, conferences, kind of what's going on next, and our discussion there. So I wanted to start real quick with a hello and a meet the team. So we'll feature a couple of different people each time in our meetings as we go forward. But today I wanted to take a moment to just note the leadership and operations team at DocStation. So this is about half of us that make the system run and go forward. Several familiar faces that you've seen. Sam Andrig is our CEO and co-founder, along with Josh Matz, our CTO and co-founder as well. So you've seen both of them on these calls. Andy is, of course, a familiar guy for you. Andy Kyle, our head of product and strategy. Christine DiPietro has been with us for a couple months now as our director of operations, so you'll start to see her some more on the calls. And then a brand new face that some of you may or may not have seen is Simon Anderegg. So he is joining our team starting next week. We're very excited to have him on as a clinical systems analyst and as well for some support in the customer service area. So you will likely start to see Simon in terms of doing some new onboarding, new training, and answering questions through intercom as needed. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us anytime if you have questions, but this is the group. I will also mention briefly, I am going on maternity leave starting after next week, so you won't see me around for a couple of weeks, but the rest of the team will be filling in. But don't be shy with your questions and your feedback. We're all really excited to continue our partnership and be working with you guys here. So. Welcome to all our new users here. If you're new to Zoom, this is an awesome way for us to be able to communicate and work together, especially in a large group like this. So thanks all for joining. You can use the chat box for questions, and my trusty sidekick, Andy, will be keeping an eye on that. So he can post some answers to the chats, to the questions in that chat box, as well as interrupt me at any point if there's something we should stop and talk about as well. And then I'll just encourage you to take a second to figure out where your mute button is, how you can mute and unmute yourself. We will have discussion opportunities. We really want to be able to hear from everybody. So, so know where that is at so you can unmute yourself at will. All right, well, let's jump right into it here. We'll do the quick program overview and stats. So most of you are familiar with this information, but we are super excited to continue to see our number of synced locations grow. Towards the beginning of the year, we were doing a really big effort and push to reach 150 pharmacies. By May 1st, we exceeded that goal above and beyond and continue to grow at a little bit slower pace here as we're kind of getting everything else ironed out in the system. So we're really excited to have 272 locations on board across this whole 7-state area. That brings us up to almost 560 users, which is also awesome. We add more of you daily, which is great. Good to see more diversity on the program as well. And just over 92,000 interventions. And that's a really humbling number. It means you guys are doing a lot of great work. It means we're reaching out to patients and being able to make an impact. So really great job. And also a couple quick shout outs to some of our newest larger group members. We've got some CPESN folks from Nebraska, NESP there, as well as South Dakota and Wyoming who've just recently joined the platform. So thank you very much, as well as Albertsons and Safeway. So really excited to have you guys partnering with us from here going forward. And for our active pharmacy statistics, so active is our definition of having completed at least one task in this past month. You can see this line continues to trend upward. So we're almost at, like I said, just about 250 active pharmacies working daily on the platform, daily and monthly, and at about 35,000 patients that we're reaching on a regular basis. So that's excellent numbers. Really excited to see those numbers continue to grow little by little as we're focusing on different programs, enhancing the system overall with various new updates and such, and seeing that impact grow. And then, of course, we love our leaderboard statistics. This is a kind of a different month for us in that we're actually having our Pharmacy Innovators meeting on the very last day of the month. So you've got a few more hours to get caught up. Oftentimes we do this a couple of days before the end of the month is usually when that Wednesday falls. But very excited to see even just the numbers increasing as of yesterday, which I know the team can comment on. There's a big significant jump. So I know everybody's working real hard to get to 100% task completion by the end of today, which is great. And there's a little bit of time left. Even if you're below the leaderboard here, there's plenty of time to get on board there to be able to work through some tasks for your patients and to get reimbursed for that work that you're putting in. So it's always fun to be noted on the leaderboard, I'm sure. But this is our group of pharmacies who have completed at least 70% of their tasks for the month of July. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you very much. We're always very excited to see a lot of repeat folks on the leaderboard who have been able to dedicate specific community care and clinical work time throughout the month at various times. Thank you so much for that work. All right, so program engagement. I wanted to take a pause quick here and kind of talk to you about what our heart is here at DocStation for how the system works. Engagement to us is task completion rates, and that's a principal metric for us here at DocStation. First and foremost, when we see that task completion rates are going on up and they're on the rise, we know that it means that you guys, our pharmacy partners, are providing top-notch care for patients. And really, that's our top priority. We want to see patients get healthier and be taken better care of. That's what we want to see. Only slightly secondary to that point is that when task completion rates are high, we know that it means that we've designed a tool that our pharmacy partners want to use. And that's also really exciting because all of the success that we see in the second point is due to the fact that you have been involved and that you have. So we thank you for that. We want to continue doing that. That's really great. I want to point out here our average DocStation completion rate, which is at 70%. And again, a big thank you to our leaderboard folks who consistently get this number up over the last 7 months or so that we've been running this payment program right now. We're very, very proud of 70% at this point, especially in comparison to some of the market space averages. So we know that we're on the right track and that we're doing the right thing, which is great. One of our biggest internal goals here is to continue pushing that dial. We want to push that average even higher, which is something that we can only do with your involvement and feedback. So I want to just take a quick pause and open the floor here, give you guys an opportunity because we want to hear from you. What is it that helps you work in DocStation? What could increase these rates? When do you think about when you tend to complete most of the bulk of your work? Is it on a daily, a weekly, towards the end of the month type basis? And we want to know what's happening inside your workflow to drive these completion rates. Because again, we know that the rates mean meaningful engagement with your patients. And we also know that time with your patients saves money. So engaged pharmacy partners, you guys, leads us to better tools and tasks and data. So I'm going to pause here for a second and I'm going to open the floor. So like I said, identify where your mute button is and jump in here and tell me a little bit about how engagement is working or completion rates are working in your space and what might help you get that rate up higher on a month-by-month basis. Anybody else want to jump in and take the first stab?
Hey, Aubrey, just questioning about, I questioned about emailing when a task, I guess, arrives, or is there a way of notifying me that a task is needed to be done other than me actually physically going into and signing into DocStation every time?
Okay, I don't believe there's a functionality for that right now. Would that be something that would be helpful for you, Dennis, is to receive a ping of some kind when there's a new task to be addressed?
Well, I just think it sometimes, you know, how obviously everyone's work schedule gets busy, that you might not always remember that it's out there to be done. So I didn't know if that would increase outcomes. And if I'm working and I see, you know, 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 10 emails, I'm like, all right, I need to get at this pretty quick. Otherwise, I'm going to pay for it at the end of the month. And at the end of this month, I was working on it on a Sunday night, which I prefer not to, but it's just, I had forgotten about it, or work just got busy and I just couldn't get to it at the time. But when I actually got to it, I realized I had 30 tasks to do that I had to get done that day. So maybe just if there's reminders or any way of notifying me without having to physically go into DocStation and signing in.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. Other comments about what might help make it easier for you to bump up your completion rate?
Hi, Aubrey. This is Jeff Shorten with Thrifty White.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi. I just had one suggestion that might impact Dennis's request as well. We would, on our side, I think we would love to see all of the tasks get loaded at the beginning of the month, rather than have them kind of drop in and spaced throughout the course of the month. Because as we get towards the end of the month, there still might be some that filter in. I know you guys put a freeze on it at 4 days out, but if we had, I guess, basically we don't want to leave it until the last couple days or the last week of the month, because that last week of the month might be really busy in your pharmacy. You might have a tech that calls out sick. There's a lot of uncontrollable variables that might occur at the end of the, where time is not on our side. Versus if we have it earlier in the month, we might be able to have, it gives us a little shock absorber in the system for us to be able to plan accordingly, knowing how much workload is facing us right out of the gate. So that would just be a suggestion if that were an option for you guys to look into. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that comment. Yeah, that's really great, and also opens the door for some other questions about how the DocStation team looks at how data comes in. We're very interested to know, down to the specific detail, how workflow is working for you, such that you're able to kind of complete tasks either as they come in, or whether or not you prefer to wait, towards the end of the month, or even if it's not the end of the month, as they pile up. So, for Jeff to comment on as well, but as well as others, do you find yourself waiting towards the end of the month because it's easier to do a bunch all at once, or do you find yourself regularly logging in on a daily or weekly basis, those kinds of things? Any comments are welcome on that. We'd love to know how that works in your workflow.
For me, again, Aubrey, it's this Dennis. For me, it's weekly at best.
Okay.
There is no daily, just because things happen. But yeah, for me personally, it's my goal would be always on a weekly basis, but that doesn't always, it's not always met. But the ultimate goal would be at least weekly.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's great. To Jeff's point, and definitely want to open the floor for other DocStation team members if they want to tag on to this. I do love the idea of being able to kind of get a broader view of your tasks for the month, for that range. I can totally understand, having been a pharmacy technician for many years, that it's great to know as far in advance as you can know about what work comes in. And I think there's maybe some opportunity that we have to play around with that. The other key to keep in mind too is that as you continue dispensing prescriptions throughout the month, that's when the system is kind of combing for those potential patient care opportunities. So you do kind of have to have one before the other. So I'm not sure that it's a specifically possible situation to load everything for the month at the beginning, but there may be an opportunity to maybe shift towards the beginning of the week on a regular basis, if that would be helpful. Because we are looking, to keep tasks relevant and on top of the actual dispensing system data. So once you dispense a prescription, then it can kind of get worked into that workflow. But that's a big key about why certain tasks drop in throughout the month is because new prescriptions have been dispensed, and we're starting to find some of those opportunities for you. So that's really great feedback. Other comments towards that? Otherwise, I've got another question you can think about. Maybe what can DocStation do to help save you more time? I'm looking at a couple of things on the chat. Looks like folks have talked about some dispensing system integrations or with Outcomes in Marixa. I think those are really great opportunities and definitely things we're looking into. And have had a lot of conversations about. Andy, if you want to jump in and comment any further on that, you're certainly welcome to. But I love those ideas. Interoperability will obviously make all of us a lot faster, for sure. What if there are other ideas out there? We definitely want to hear about them. Other things we can do in the system to help your workflow go faster.
I'll just verbalize it real quick. We're working really hard on our end to make dispensing integrations happen as fast as humanly possible. We know that's going to be a huge time saver. So know that we're working as hard as we can. Where you guys can help us is if you advocate for the integration to your dispensing systems. That's what they're all telling us. They kind of have a process for prioritizing some of these things. So if you let them know that you want it, that's going to be our fastest path to integration. We've had a handful of conversations, and while they say yes, we can do that, normally it's like we can do that in 6 months. So if you speak up, we can maybe get that a little bit faster. So would appreciate your help.
Awesome, thanks, Andy. All right, other comments or points on engagement or completion rates? Anything else you guys want to help us understand a little bit better there, or in terms of your workflow and when you're accomplishing those things? All right, wonderful. We'll carry on then. Feel free to keep working through the chat here as well, answer or asking questions and stuff, and we'll come back to those as needed. So the next section I want to talk about here is our product update. So things that you may or may not have seen have come up more recently, but new enhancements that we have to the system that we want to make sure everybody is aware of. The first is new print preview. So this is a tool that lots of people have asked about for a very long time. So we're really excited to have just turned this on in the last couple of weeks here. You have an option now to print the entire patient profile or sections of it. So in the top right-hand corner, you'll find that little 3-dot icon. You can choose that, and the printing icon is there, which will bring you to this screen where you can choose what sections of the profile you want to print out. So very exciting and useful tool that we've had a lot of feedback from. If you find that something's not working quite right, or it doesn't look the way you want, or you'd like to see something else in there, again, please feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what changes you might want to see. We've also, in the last couple of weeks, consolidated the patient profile. And while this isn't maybe a huge deal, it was brought up by one of you in an onboarding, which was really great because you had mentioned, it's nice to be able to see all of the medications and problems lists, but they tend to take up the whole screen, and then you might forget that goals and interventions is down below without having to scroll through. So that was really great feedback to be able to bring it all up into view in one quick snapshot. So as you can see here, you have the opportunity to expand the list if you want to, and then go into that modal that brings you the full list as well, but be able to see goals and interventions off the bat. Additionally, organization admins can now remove user access from the dashboard as well. So there's a handy little cog in the bottom left-hand corner of the platform. You can click on that and that'll bring you automatically over to your list of users in your pharmacy. So the organization admin can remove, at this point, we're still working on functionality for being able to add new users at will, so stay tuned for that, but this is a handy tool as well. If you're not sure of your status as an organization admin, then in that same place, you'll be able to see whether you're listed as a user or an admin. So if you've got admin, you've got all the power. And you can also identify admins as well. So it's great. And something else we're really excited about is the new Help Center articles. So most of you are familiar with Intercom at this point. You've been utilizing it really well, reaching out to us and asking questions. In that same section is where you can find new articles that we have published for various types of, different work and things that are happening in DocStation. So if you have questions and prefer to do a little bit more research on your own before reaching out to one of us, that's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and search by keywords and then you'll be able to pull up any of the articles that we have written for that. Of course, it's always available to just reach straight out to us and we will continue to be able to get in touch with you real quick. This is a great place again to ask how to request to add new users, to report issues when things look weird. If you are working on a specific patient issue, again, just remember we don't put any PHI in Intercom. It is not specifically secured for that. So just copy and paste that patient URL when you're looking at something specific and send it over to us. All right, so what's coming up next? The blood pressure monitoring and hemoglobin A1C monitoring tasks are going to be turned on for all pharmacies starting tomorrow. So big thank you for everybody who helped us test these, make sure that they were working correctly and provide feedback on the design. We're very excited to roll these out for our high-risk diabetes members starting tomorrow. So if you have any questions about how these work, there are also some articles listed in Help Center as well, but pretty straightforward here in that we're looking to get updated blood pressure and A1C data performed in there, and then that will save in the patient profile as well. Again, you have the same opportunity as you see with all the other tasks to intervene or not intervene depending on what's clinically or therapeutically appropriate for your patients. So very excited about that. Continue to provide feedback if you have questions or concerns on those. And the medication list update will also go live for all pharmacies starting tomorrow. This is another thing we've been working on for a long time and are very excited to release finally to you, in that you will have view in your medication list of prescriptions that were filled outside your pharmacy for patients that are attributed to your location. So it's very exciting. There'll be kind of a little indicator on the profile there to show you. And as you hover over it or click on it, depending on what section you're in, you'll see the outside my pharmacy fill information there. So this gives you a more complete picture of the patient's medications and will ultimately lead to better driving of data and tasks for us. So we're really excited for that use. And then a little bit further future down the road, but for what's coming up next, is some IIS integrations with the state registries for immunizations here. And we're really excited about, again, about the work that Andy and the engineering team have been doing to make headway on this. So these are just a couple of quick screenshots of what the prototypes look like and what they'll look like in as you get into DocStation. But as you click that add immunization, you'll just see several more options here. And this is a little bit more in line with what information you would provide if you were documenting an immunization provided in the state registry. So that information will look a little bit different in DocStation, and then you'll see here in the list of immunizations, it'll provide a source and whether or not that's been synced and at what time it was synced. So a little bit more information that you'll be able to get. So again, this is a two-way syncing, a two-way integration with the state registries. So information at registry will be pushed down to DocStation, and as you document this information in DocStation, it gets pushed back to the registry. So a great way to eliminate yet one more screen or one more portal of having to log into and keep in mind. I do have it listed here that we're focused right now on Minnesota and North Dakota. That's the conversations that have gone along the furthest. We are also still very interested in integrations with all of the other states in our area, of course. We're just moving a little bit faster with these two in particular. Andy, is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of where we're at with that or the functionality?
Nope. You can advocate on our behalf if you're outside of Minnesota and North Dakota. That's how all these conversations move faster. So I know Iowa just wrapped up their program with IMSLink, I believe. So if anybody has contacts to Iris and would like to reach out, that'd be helpful. Same thing for the other states. So let us know. We'd love to loop the others in.
Excellent. Thank you. Very excited for that integration. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I also like to add in here just a quick slide of the top feature requests that folks have been asking for, either in intercom or other chat, and just to keep an eye out so that you know these things are on the radar. They're on the engineering roadmap to be able to develop soon. So we are definitely still working on functionality to snooze a task until a later time. It's working towards a specific type of workflow that we're building here where you can maybe even schedule appointments with your patients and whatnot. So that's going to be a really great opportunity. Functionality to track attempts to reach a patient. Right now, folks are mostly using that free text box on the patient profile to identify those, and that's great. But we'll be working on designing something a little more specific and discrete for you. As I mentioned before, an option for the organization admin to add user access on the dashboard without having to ask us, which would be fun for you guys, I'm sure. And then an option to alphabetize the medications, which, as I understand, helps with the MedRec process and as you're reviewing the patient's lists overall. So if you have any other ideas, let us know. We'll continue to compile these and add them to our planning and roadmaps as we move forward. And then some other initiatives that we're working on. Really our top goal in terms of sales and growth and development is adding additional payers and programs beyond the EMTM we have right now. We do have some traditional MTM opportunities that we're focused on, that we're working towards building out, and also targeting self-insured employers to help manage their patient populations and whatnot. So if there are, again, programs in your area that you haven't talked to us about, or self-insured employers that you know of, people who visit your pharmacy on a regular basis who might be able to benefit from a system like this, please let us know. We definitely want to start those conversations as quickly as possible. Another initiative we're working into is the CPESN USA Flip the Pharmacy program. So this is an exciting opportunity that we'll get to partner with a lot of you and kind of expand a little bit further into sort of the new wave of pharmacy, which we're very excited for. Andy, are there any other comments that you want to add on that? Nope. All right, sweet. So we're very excited for that. And then some fun shout outs and opportunities for travel for the DocStation team. So these are all passed now: ASHP, the IPA meeting in Iowa, and NPA meeting in Nebraska. Andy has been all over the Midwest here most recently and touring. So I have a wall of Andy here, or a slide of Andy rather. It's really exciting that he got to do a pharmacy tour in both Iowa and Nebraska and see some of you while I was out there. So this is a really awesome opportunity. It's fun for us to visit and travel and whatnot, but so you guys know, it's a really great time for us to continue to expand our knowledge of what your workflow is like, boots on the ground, day to day, what you're working on. And again, that's really what helps us develop this tool into something that's as useful as it possibly can be for you. So we love being able to spend time face to face with you, especially when we're in the pharmacy together. And then, as I understand it, some of you crazy Iowa people like to ride your bikes all the way across the state once a year. This seems pretty nuts to me, but that looks like a lot of fun. So I'm glad that the Iowa Pharmacy Association was able to get together there and we were able to meet up with you guys as well. A lot of fun. All right, so let's get back into a little bit more discussion. I'll open the floor again. Thank you, first of all, for those of you who responded to my intercom questions previous to this meeting starting last week. That really helped kind of develop some slides and make sure that the knowledge was out there. But I compiled just a list of the feedback that I got from you guys in terms of the most useful aspect of DocStation, questions you had about functionality, and looking to hear any patient care success stories you guys have seen as a result of using DocStation. So again, I'm going to open the floor at this time for anybody who wants to jump in and either talk about any one of those pieces, ask a question, or provide us a patient care story. Don't be shy. Love to hear from you. Excellent. I'd love to see this most useful aspect of DocStation was really helpful for me to see that, just to see what's useful for you guys in workflow. Automated patient data and data in an actionable format, I think is, definitely at the top of the list. Those suggested interventions and additional documentation, being able to walk through that, I understand is also very helpful. And task filter functionality, being able to guide your workflow and just even get an idea of what's ahead of you at the beginning of the month is definitely great. Some of these questions that popped up we were able to turn into additional articles in the Help Center as well, so keep an eye out for those. I would just make note that when you're calling a patient regarding non-adherence or deciding whether or not you need to, the question was more about, when they were previously non-adherent based on the task, but now they are, then, should I call them? Would that be confusing? And again, the design for DocStation is really meant to be up to your professional judgment. So if you want to talk to them about it, or if you think it makes sense, or you can work through any confusion, then absolutely. But if you think in general they're being adherent, or maybe that was just a one-off, by all means, let us know that you don't need to intervene in that instance. And then back to that state registry again, the comment here was whether or not we could use the state registry as a source of truth over asking the patient about their immunizations, because perhaps patients wouldn't necessarily know when they've received an immunization. And I completely agree. As a patient, I do not remember the last time I had an immunization. And if you asked me if I had one specifically, I couldn't tell you. So by all means, utilize those state registries. They're going to be a better source of truth probably than a lot of patients directly. But these were really great questions and things that I wouldn't necessarily have thought about needing to ask. So anything else? Other questions or patient care success stories? Things that have gone really well because you've been working in DocStation? Awesome. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of our slide deck here. I was just going to check in. Andy, were there any comments in the chat box that we want to bring back up or address with the group? No? Doing good. All right. Excellent. Well, this is our final slide here. For those of you who are really excited about utilizing DocStation and have other friends in pharmacy, send them over to us at docstation.co and then that Get Started button. We definitely want to continue to grow our community membership and our patient care platform so we can continue to reach more patients. Any final questions or comments or anything? Awesome. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up and give you a little bit of time back on your calendar. Keep an eye out for next month's Pharmacy Innovators meeting. And as always, you can reach us on Intercom. Don't be shy to provide feedback and ask questions when you've got them. Thanks so much for your time, everybody. On behalf of the DocStation team, happy end of July. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.